So, Cookie, my first question is: do you have to use both sides of the business card now because of all the different titles you have up there at Sporting Legs?
Do you know it's interesting here? I've walked into this place and I came in really thinking I was going to be doing most of the academy and the youth stuff, which is definitely happening. We're moving it in a really good direction. But then, obviously, when you've been involved in professional football for a long time at different levels, I've got dragged into some of the men's stuff. I've got dragged into some of the women's stuff, and I'm really enjoying it. And the mind expansion of being involved in these different things all the time is really it's energized me so much, John. I can't even tell you how much I'm enjoying it.
Well, we're going to talk about this three-dimensional approach to Vulcan chess that's going on up there at Lex. We had Philip Goodrum on late last week, and so you mentioned the men's side of things. This is a roster. This is a roster coming into 26. They're not messing around, man. There's a lot of folks on there that people can sit there and go, yeah, know that guy, know that guy, know that guy. What's it like working with the men's side, seeing all this?
Yeah, we're really pleased with the work, and Sam Doer, the sporting director, has really done a great job in the off season. Obviously, I've been involved in much of that work, and I think when you're bringing in players with that level of experience, that level of quality, players who've done it year in year out at the level we're talking, you've got to be energized and you've got to be really excited about the start of the season. But as I would warn everybody that, all teams begin at the beginning of the year, and no matter what they've done before on paper, they've got to come together, they've got to gel, they've got to work really hard. We've got a new coach, which means a fresh ideas and a fresh outlook on things for the players. But there's no doubt we've had an incredibly good off season, and now let's hope at the beginning here we can put it together really well.
And it isn't just that first team men's side; it's the women that are in USLW. It's they're in the Super League and all of these different aspects of it. I want to get into the USLA for the alphabet soup that's attached. What's it like for you to sit there and have an academy that's been doing gangbusters at the U20 level?
Yeah, we've done exceptionally well, and led by the head coach Quinn Huddle, it's gone really well. And I think once, obviously, results wise, we did exceptionally well. We made the USL Academy finals. We're one of the youngest teams in it. A lot of our homegrown players playing, and they ended up finishing third in that event, in a national event. But more importantly, we've helped some players really move along the pathway. And these might have been a group of players that, had been pros somewhere else before and came in and have reignited their careers and now going to get contracts with us or elsewhere. We've got some young homegrown players. We started a 15-year-old in the academy finals, and he's done exceptionally well. But we're really proud of this group because it is literally that reserve team environment that I was kind of looking and working in before with Atlanta United, and really helping players along the pathway. And it's not always a team that where you've got your 20 players, 24 players, and you work hard with that same group every day. Different players come in, whether they be pros or out of college even, and we've got young players coming through the pathway. They've done really well, and now the next challenge is to get them ingrained with the first team and hopefully get them professional minutes in the course of the year.
What were some of the lessons that you learned here in Atlanta within the Atlanta United organization that have helped you out go and just start off with gangbusters up there in Lexington?
Well, I think one of the big things is, obviously, my role as a technical director is different than it would have been there as the head coach. And I empathize greatly with our head coach here, who he wants to put that team together and he wants it to be that smooth sailing ship. But when first team players come down and need minutes, they're going to be playing. And when you might, for example, see a 15-year-old who isn't quite as effective today as the 16, 17, 18, 19-year-old, but we need to give those high potential players those kinds of minutes and really push those players through. And really, I think the experience that not just at Atlanta United, but Seattle Sounders as well and Colorado Rapids is really putting those young players in an environment where they can be successful, and dipping them in, whether they be training up or playing up, is always a conversation. But then really, I think, is looking at them, not only their performance today, but the potential they have in the future as well, and really making sure that we put them in at the right time. It's always a challenge. It's never an easy picture, as you know from your coverage of Atlanta United there. It's always a conversation every day about who's ready and who's not ready. But I'm really enjoying it, and the players have bought into the idea of that professional reserve team, and they're doing exceptionally well.
And it's interesting, and for those that may not necessarily know, there has been a tremendous investment in infrastructure and resources, and just the massive amount of fields that are available to anything that's associated with Lex SC. What's it like for you to see this kind of investment in? And I'll go ahead and use quotes and put a dollar in the jar for the first time in 26 in a non-traditional soccer market. There you go.
No, I understand. When I first came in and chatted to the guys here, um, the first thing you notice is the incredible facility, and Bill Shively, Donna Shively, Stephen Dowerhair as owners, they've done an incredible job of not only building a stadium for the first team to play in, but now a grass field for the first team to train in, men's and women's, and then 7 AstroTurf fields, and around it there is some real estate that will be built out over time here. They're so invested, and they've been so um you know not just invested in terms of money, but time, and the energy that it takes to make sure a soccer club not only starts moving in the right direction, but continues to run in the right direction. And the first thing I noticed was the facility, then an incredibly kind group of people. I'm really grateful to be here working with people, and my role now is obviously less team building and it's more club building. And I can assure you that the people here in Lexington have built something for generations to come, and I don't see that stopping. And I only see it going higher and higher level all the time.
Okay, so then I'll bite. The differences between team building and club building. I mean, I know that those are two different 4-letter words. They're kind of intermingled at the same time, but what are the inherent differences in building a team versus building a club three-dimensionally?
Yeah, I think, look, I've been a head coach in MLS. I've been a head coach in USL as well, and I think once you're the head coach, obviously your your outlook on a group seems to be a little bit more shorter term. You have a game on Saturday, you have a game the following Saturday. You've got a short season of let's say 30 odd games where you're really planning for. And obviously, when you look at players, as a head coach, oftentimes you look at them as to what can they do for me in the next short period of time. But then when you're looking at building a club, and not just a pathway for players, but a pathway for coaches, a pathway for business people, executives, and really making sure that everybody learns and grows and has an opportunity to improve their lives and their careers. The club building piece is a little bit more patient. It's a little bit more long term. You might have to make decisions today that are only going to pay off in 3 to 5 years. And when you're a head coach, as there is always a view forwards of looking forwards, but a lot of the decisions you make as a head coach or as an assistant coach for that matter typically are much shorter term. And I think that's the difference between the team building philosophy and the role I'm in right now, which is really building a whole club from a technical standpoint.
From your exposure and experience right now, how is Kentucky/Ohio/Indiana, that little section of real estate that you're in, how is it as a soccer area, a soccer market, embracing the sport? What's been your feedback been?
I think growing, and you're right. We're uniquely placed. 5 hours drive from Atlanta. A few hours drive from Nashville, and then just north of us, Cincinnati, an hour, and Indianapolis. Where Indy 11 are. That's not a long drive either. And you look at us, we're kind of not even too far from Chicago, really, about 4 hours drive. So we're kind of in the middle of all this hotbed of not only talent from a player perspective, but you look at the MLS clubs in that little area, and the USL clubs as well in that area. There's so many of us, working hard and trying to build the soccer. It isn't a large metropolitan area like Atlanta or like Seattle or Los Angeles and New York City. So we, I think, have to maximize the level of the players that we have. And we have to, if we see that 1 or 2 players that really have a high level future, we have to put so much into those 1 or 2 or 3 players so that we can literally take them as far along as we possibly can. So for us, it's more looking for that 1 or 2 individuals that we really believe we can push forward, and providing a great soccer environment for the masses as well at the youth soccer end, so that they stay in the game long enough that they can become good. And then obviously in the large metros, you've got so many players that sometimes you don't need to do great work, because the 1 or 2 are always going to come through and make it regardless. So for us, it's a little bit more Patient, I would say. It's a little bit more where we have to pick the right ones to invest so much in. And that in and of itself is a big challenge. But being in this area has been really interesting. I've never lived in this area before, and never really worked too much in this area. But there's a lot of good players. And obviously been surrounded by all the MLS clubs. It means that sometimes it's a challenge to keep some of those players. But I think the better we do, the more we build things correctly, the more we show the vision of having a long-term player development pathway into professional football for men and for women. I think there's every chance that we can not only attract the best players, but we can keep them and send them into professional football with our organization.
Okay, so I have both titles written down, and that's why this is why at the beginning I was kind of joking about using both sides of the index card. So, Grand Exalted Poobah USL Academy, I made up that title anyway, with the U20s are concerned. Program Director, College Advisory Program. I thought
Yeah.
this was really interesting. Was this a part of the package when they brought you up there out of the blocks, or was this something that has kind of been created out of whole cloth when you got there?
Yeah, it was never mentioned to me at all. And it's one of the things that when I came in, I realized that we've got this large youth foundation, this base of youth players that might have not have had the opportunity to even understand what the college system looked like. I'm a big believer in the college system. Obviously, I've worked in professional soccer, and we've signed young players and basically prevented them from going to college. But I think one of the big things about the college landscape in this country is that it keeps these young players, where I'm from originally, at 18, 19, 20, there are these cutoffs and you basically leave the game and you go non-league and lower level football. But in this country, you're able to stay in the game for much longer. You're able to get an education while you're doing it. And I really, really like that way of looking at it. And I think when you look at Atlanta United's first team and first teams all across MLS, and certainly in USL, there are a lot of players that have come later into professional soccer via that pathway. So one of the things I really wanted to do is really be a guide and a help. It's a college advisory program. It's not a placement program. Giving young people and their families the best possible advice, not only in what college soccer looks like, but which program might fit them based on their needs. And some people, want to go to a big school with a big football program and in a big city life. Some people, they're better suited to a smaller lifestyle with more personal attention to them. Some players now want to go and play soccer immediately straight away out of their youth soccer, and they want to go to college and play straight away. I think with the transfer portal now and NIL, it's a changing landscape really, really quickly. And our job is to really stay as connected with some of the changes that are going on so that our families can get the best advice possible. And it's been a whirlwind getting it together. We've got some amazing resources on our webpage that I think players from all over the place could take a look at and see the kind of resources that we've given to our players in a really quick way. And it's not just me. I've got help from a lot of different people here, but it was one of the passion projects that I had, that not only saying, oh, we put these players into college, but also really, really helping the families. And that might be down to financial aid. It might be down to, picking the right academic place for your child based on their strengths. And it's been a real thrill to get it off the ground. We have a lot of work to do to make it the best it possibly can be. But I think it's going to be a really, really good program, John, in the years ahead. And I'm very proud of it. But I'm more happy that the number of people that I worked with that really came together energetically to put that on the map straight away. I can't speak highly enough of everybody here.
Because when you have a program like when you have any kind of program that's attached to a collegiate sport, obviously NIL makes things different. And I mean, it's been different like even in the last year, not
Yeah.
just 2 or 5. When it comes to the advisory aspect of it, I imagine that there's a lot of mentoring that goes along with it as well, where you're sitting there and it's like, okay, well, you're the parent and the student athlete might sit there and say, well, I want to do this. And then there's that feedback that you and those associated with the program are giving. That's like, well, maybe you should think about this too. How much of that mentoring and guiding aspect is there in this give and take of trying to figure out what's best for that athlete going forward?
Well, that's the big piece, John. We've got resources. They can all take a look on the website and look at that. But then following up from that, I meet with all the families and we have other staff members as well who meet with the families, and we ask them certain questions about what their wants are, what their needs are, what they would like to see their college experience look like. And sometimes it's actually giving a dose of reality, and sometimes it's maybe pushing somebody into a more academic road than they otherwise would have. I think a lot of our players, like everywhere else, think soccer, 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 and forget sometimes the academic piece of that. So it has been mentorship. It has been giving people the reality. And I think things like NIL do cloud it a little bit in that most soccer players are not going to get truly affluent from being around the college programming. But I think now with the transfer portal, even if you make the wrong choice in the beginning, it's okay. You can transfer out, and I think that's okay as well. So it really has been this mentorship program and really helping families, because the families are nervous as well. Mums and dads, in many cases, they've not been through this before with any young people, and the landscape has changed so much from when they went to school as well. So it's just a different beast these days, and I think it's a rapidly changing environment. And I've really enjoyed getting to know the players and their families and guiding them in this regard. And we're having great success, and long may that continue.
How nimble do you and the staff up there have to be, knowing that the portal can be as chaotic and as trickle down as it gets? Because if you look at signing day, then that programs are going to be chasing after all the blue bloods and the 5 stars, or however you want to phrase it. Then from there, you'll see the athletes that thought they had a place. Then they'll portal down to either another Power 4 or a group of 6. Then those will trickle down to do the 1AA or the FCS Division 2. How prevalent are we talking about, and how nimble do you guys have to be about navigating this landscape and knowing the calendar? And okay, so here's your deadline here. We've got to figure this out. Okay, now you're going here. How nimble do you guys have to be?
Yeah, we have to be nimble. I mean, most of our young players at the moment, they typically if you ask them, they have that vision of going to a place for 4 years, staying there, continuing with their education, and graduating from that program with a degree. That is fairly standard. But for many, many reasons, as 18-year-olds make mistakes on choices, and in fact, college coaches make mistakes, or it isn't quite the fit, or the coach is changed during their time. And I'm a big supporter of the transfer portal. I think nobody has to be beholden to that one choice they made when they were 17 years old or so. And I think sometimes it just works out that way, that people need a change. Most of the time, you would hope that is a progression, John, where they go into it might be that financially they have to choose a certain school, and then somebody else gives them a different scholarship option somewhere else, and it's a progression. But for some players, they go in and think they're going to play every minute of every game at the school that they chose. It might be an ACC school, for example, and then we have to say, look, the player's not happy, and we have to help them. But one thing we also do is we're regularly in touch with college coaches, saying, you really need to take a look at this player. Great person, their academics are good, they've got a lot of family support, good soccer player. We think it's a fit for your school, and we believe that you're a fit for that family as well, which is, I think it's a two-way street. And it's interesting with the portal. I've heard a lot of college coaches sometimes moan about, we want to keep the players and all the rest of it, and then you see 8 of 9 players that are new to the program coming from the portal. So I think all of us are learning in this new environment to not only embrace it, but use it for what we can, what our young players can benefit from. And I think it's just another piece, like you've been in this profession a long, long time, John. It's an ever-changing thing, and I think if you get too rigid in your approach, you're going to struggle. And for us, the fluidity of the portal and NIL and the ever-changing college landscape is really important, especially as that fits into what we're trying to achieve as a professional soccer club, because I still believe that many of our young players have the ability to go to college, get 4 good years or 2 good years, 3 good years, and then come back and return to professional soccer. And sometimes, hopefully, that Lexington Sporting Club are going to be the benefactors of that.
How old is the CAP? How old a project is this?
Well, I started it when I came in, so this is now a program that I came in and said, we really should put something in place. It's something that I've done before, and it's something that I've always been familiar with, but this particular club didn't have anything really in place other than well-meaning coaches helping really good people trying to navigate the process. But what we've got now is a real program and a real way of working so that all of our families feel that they've got support and they feel that they can not only navigate the system, but they can give their children the best advice that it's possible to give. And some of that might be, we can't afford that, and we have to navigate that. And I think one of the big things we've been able to do, John, via some of the questions and some of the mentorship, is get families together in the same room so that they're having conversations about difficult subjects like, for example, how on earth are we going to pay for this astronomical cost of education in the USA? And so some of those questions that we ask actually get the families talking together around the dinner table, which I think is probably the biggest needed thing of all.
Yeah, and the reason I ask is because I didn't know how much of a wake-up call it was for everyone there when the program came online, when you came there, to even as we're talking today, how much everyone there has learned from beginning to now, and how much of an eye-opener it was in that small space.
I think it's been an eye-opener for everybody to say, probably gives a lot of people a kick up the backside and saying this is what a professional soccer club that are also invested in youth soccer, and not just the high-end academy, but the youth soccer pieces where we have players who might not be destined to be professional players or even have a desire to be professional players. But what we can do is we can really, really help them not only with their education moving forward and enjoying that, but we can help them with their lives. These young people are going to be alive and on the planet and being good citizens far, far longer than any soccer career is going to be. So I think one of our obligations, not only to this community, but the soccer community in general, is not just to look at it as a professional team and pulling off the best players, but really, how can we help these young people become better people, better human beings to each other, and really navigating along the pathway. And if that means we can get some people into colleges and get a degree and really have a great life. We've got a young man recently who's gone to a university on basically a full ride, first generation student. And I'll tell you something, he's going to change not only his life, but his family's lives, and generations of people in his family. He's going to really change their lives. So I think that is something that I'm probably most grateful to be involved with.
One more question for you, and it has to do with something that you just mentioned, where all of the families get those opportunities to kind of sit together, break bread, have a cup of coffee or whatever. What's it like to have them see that kind of feedback and have that kind of interaction with one another, so they know that they're not alone in this process?
Yeah, some of the conversations we have, John, as you know, you got to have a degree of honesty, and they can be uncomfortable, and some are, you're actually, at times I find myself pushing people on into a much higher level than they thought they might be able to get to, because they wouldn't have heard of certain things. And that might be academics, or it might be the athletic piece as well. But I think, the impact that we can have for, one of the things I've talked to you many, many times about is the impact that we have on the people that we work with, and not just as players, not just because of what they can do today on a soccer field, not because of what they keep giving us from an athletic perspective. I think it's more about how can we serve them and help them with their lives, with their careers, and really make sure that we don't smooth that pathway. We want them to have difficulties. We want them to have the obstacles, but we want to give them the options along the pathway that really help them. And this new role for me, obviously coming from Atlanta United, has enabled me to be involved in many new things. Obviously, I still retain the love and the desire to be involved in the professional side, and I love that piece. But the academy and the youth side has really opened my eyes to just the impact we can make for families and young people moving forward, and not just on the field, but off the field as well.
Lexington Sporting Club Youth Technical Director and Director of the College Advisory Program, our dear friend Steve Cooke. It is great to see you, my friend, and it's great to see you wearing different colors and all the success that's going on there. Great to see you, my friend. The door is always open. It'll be great to see how things continue to develop with the CAP specifically. And that you can knock on the door anytime. You know where the key is under the mat. You know how to, you know the code on the garage door. You can hop in anytime. It's great to see you.
I do indeed, John. Thanks so much, and keep up the great work you're all doing and growing the game down there. It's absolutely fantastic.